All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Today is not going to be an ASMR or a quiet day because we have to talk about some things going on with cancel culture, particularly. Because there's a few things that I've wanted to discuss for a while that just need to be talked about. Elise did a video on the Jenna Marbles thing that I'm going to talk about later, but no one I've seen has talked about the whole Shia LaBeouf Oscar situation. Also, I recognize that I have a slit in my eyebrow. I tried doing something, didn't work. It's growing back in. It'll be fine. You guys cannot see how disorganized everything is. Also, I'm going to be looking off this way for a bit because my mirror is right here. I don't have any capacity to do any sort of setup where I can look at what I'm doing while doing my makeup and look at the camera at the same time. It's just not going to work. So, and with that, I'm going to get started. Let's talk about Jenna Marbles first. I have actually wanted to make a video about Jenna Marbles, basically being like, Jenna Marbles is the least problematic YouTuber ever. Because let's face it, she is a grown-up who can handle things on her own, who knows how to learn from her mistakes. People seem to not be able to let other people learn from their mistakes. And that kind of bugs me. So after Jenna uploaded her last video on February, when she uploaded that, people bullied her into taking it down and apologizing because she made a mistake by using a product that she didn't endorse. She didn't say, go out and buy this. She even said in the video, before like the apology upload and stuff, that she doesn't endorse this product, that she doesn't think it's right for her or her dogs. People gave her so much crap for it that she felt the need to re-upload with an apology at the beginning. And I'm just like, one of the tweets talks about how she had problems with hamsters, problems with fish, and now problems with dogs. Maybe she should just not own animals if she is going to have trouble owning them. Owning a pet is kind of like raising a child. Nobody is perfect. You are going to mess up sometimes. Okay, let's talk about the dogs first. She has owned dogs for 11 years. And you can tell from the way those dogs interact with her, interact with other people, and interact with each other that she has done an excellent job at raising those dogs. You can just look at the progress Bunny has made. Like, greyhounds come from extremely traumatic backgrounds if they're rescues. She was so skittish and scared in the beginning, and now she is like the most playful dog that I've ever seen on camera. She is such a good dog person, and making one mistake with a product that was not right for her dogs that she recognized, and only having them in the product for like 30 seconds, suddenly now she is an abusive dog owner. Okay. And then people were like, oh, well, she had fish. Yes, she bought fish on an impulse, but she was given bad information from the start. Someone telling her that a certain tank that she bought would be good for her fish, even though it wasn't. She needed to cycle the fish in order for them to survive. that she was not prepared for. Nobody told her that. They just sold her fish with a person who seemed like he knew what he was doing. He gave her bad information, and she trusted that person. And I don't think it's wrong to trust someone. And then, as soon as she found out that what she was doing was not right for the fish, she did the responsible thing and took them back to where they came from, for in a more appropriate place for them to live. And she made a 40-minute long apology video pointing out everything that she did wrong, every mistake that she made, and explaining why her fish were going back to a shop. She realized that she had made a mistake. She knew the elements of her mistake. She learned from her mistake and she grew from it. That's an adult thing to do. Like, that's what adults do. It's not like she just kept the fish, didn't say anything about it, didn't do anything about it, and wasn't responsible about it, because that would be a different situation. There are certain YouTubers who keep hoarding a bunch of animals, are irresponsible with them, don't say what they did wrong. Finally, with the hamster thing, she took that hamster. Obviously, things were bad for him, and then immediately did everything in her power to fix the situation. And she learned, and she grew from that. No one is instantly going to be good at taking care of a pet they haven't taken care of for years. Yes, it's good to do a little bit of research about what you want to do, but even with all the research in the world, you are still going to make mistakes and still be bad in one aspect or another. Just like in parenting, just because someone makes mistakes, whether they're a new parent, a parent of like elementary school kids, or a parent of high schoolers, you're still going to make mistakes. Just making one mistake doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. It's whether you learn from your mistakes that determines whether or not you are a good adult, good parent, good pet owner. Like, I cannot think of anyone less problematic than Jenna Marbles. She is such an aspiration, in my opinion, of like what you should be aspiring for as a human being. Yes, she makes mistakes. People are allowed to be impulsive people as long as they learn from their mistakes and learn to do the best by their animals that they can. So I don't think that's a crime. I think it's a little bit irresponsible and a little bit like just extreme to cancel people for making one mistake. Speaking of that, so sometimes cancel culture, people criticize other people for making mistakes that aren't even mistakes at all. They're just a thing that happens that other people don't understand, and therefore, because they don't know the situation, they think that it's wrong. Shia LaBeouf and his co-star Zach Gottsagen presented the award at the Oscars for Best Live Action Short Film. And if you don't know, they were co-stars in a movie from 2019 called The Peanut Butter Falcon. Now, Zach Gottsagen has Down syndrome. And so, with the way that Shia LaBeouf was interacting with his co-star,
short films allow for new voices to be seen and heard without the constraints of budget or permission. I've seen these films and they are beautiful.
And if you haven't seen it, come see it.
Bang.
People somehow got mad at that because they thought that the way he was interacting was problematic, that he was pushing him, that Shia was pushing Zach, that he was not being patient with Zach, and that he was laughing at him. Those are the three issues that people had. I have to laugh at people who thought the way that he interacted with Zach at the Oscars was problematic, because I work in special education. I am a para-educator and life skills aide, which means that I basically help out in the special ed classroom with individual students' needs. I am not assigned to a specific student, I just help students overall. So the teacher can focus on teaching the class, and I focus like on individual things and taking care of minor situations, or if someone is having some sort of episode, me and one of my coworkers will go take care of that so the teacher can continue teaching. That is my job. My job is to interact with people, with kids specifically, but with people who have disabilities, many of whom have Down syndrome. People who got mad at Shia LaBeouf for the way he interacted with Zach on stage have clearly never met or interacted with someone with Down syndrome before, and particularly don't know what it would be like for someone with Down syndrome to be in that situation with a lot of lights and cameras and people and sounds and everything. It's a lot of stimulation, a lot of sensory things that might overwhelm him. Yes, he's been around cameras and stuff before, like on set and everything, but this is the first person with Down syndrome to present anything at the Oscars. And the way Shia was acting was completely amiable and basically exactly what I would have done as a professional who works with people with Down syndrome all the time, every single day. The reason why people thought he was pushing Zach, he had his hand on Zach's back. And I see how that can kind of look like he's pushing, but it's a grounding mechanism, and it's comforting for a lot of people with Down syndrome. I'm not going to say all, but for many, to have something to ground them in a high stress situation like that. It's good to have that grounding and be able to kind of direct him in the way that he needed to go. And the next thing that people thought is like, oh, he wasn't giving Zach enough time to speak.
I've seen these films and they are beautiful.
And if you haven't seen it, come see it.
Bang.
And Shia gave Zach plenty of time to speak, gave him aid when he needed it, because it's okay to help someone read. He's interacting in a way that I would interact with my own students. Like, there is no issue that I could find, and I watched the Oscars live. And finally people were like, oh, he's laughing at him. It is okay to laugh with someone who has disabilities. It is okay. They are people too, and they know how to joke and to mess around. I'm speechless about this, honestly. It's so ridiculous. If he laughed at all, he was probably laughing, like, it was maybe like a little chuckle to ease tension. Apparently people are alleging that Shia rolled his eyes at Zach during the presentation. I was very impressed with how Zach and Shia interacted at the Oscars. And you can tell that there is a trust and they bond there. I couldn't find any mistake. Everything was perfect. And I literally, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Anyone who got mad at Shia LaBeouf for the way he interacted with Zach Gonzagan has never interacted with someone with Down syndrome before. And if they have, then they clearly are being. I would like to see them interact with someone with Down syndrome for an extended period of time, not just like one encounter. I don't see a problem with how he interacted. And if anyone would have a problem with the way he interacted with Zach, it would be me, because I protect kids with disabilities like my life depends on it. I would die for any one of my kids. I legitimately would die for any one of my kids. And I love them like they're my own children. If anyone is going to advocate for the rights of people with mental disabilities, it's going to be me. And if there's anyone that is mistreating anyone with disabilities, with mental disabilities in particular, I would be the first one to call them out. And Shia LaBeouf does not deserve the criticism that he received on the night of the Oscars. He simply doesn't. It's outrageous. In conclusion, I'm going to give my thoughts on cancel culture itself, because I think it is taken too far, and it is a problem. It boggles my mind what people will cancel people for. It literally, it's like if you're in the public eye, you're not allowed to make a mistake anymore. Twitter does not forget, and it certainly does not forgive. It's becoming ridiculous, and it's toxic, and it drives people to a point of no return. And by getting mad at people over the tiny things, it makes major issues seem a lot less important than they actually are. If you point out things that are non-issues for people, that, like, for example, how Shia LaBeouf was acting perfectly amiably with a co-star with Down syndrome who's in a high-stress situation, and you don't have any experience to draw from, so you automatically assume that it's a bad way that he interacted, then it's going to make major issues, like actually someone mistreating a co-star, seem minimal, and people are going to assume that you're just doing what you did with, like, Shia LaBeouf, which wasn't even an issue, you know? And as a society, and I'm speaking as a member of Gen Z, a much older member of Gen Z, mind you. I'm more in, like, the Jake Paul realm of age. But if you call out people for non-issues and you don't let people grow, then where are we going to go as a society? Part of being human is making mistakes. If you allow people to make mistakes, then the world will be a better place, because guess what? Nobody is Jesus. Everybody is going to make mistakes at some point in their life. Now, some of those mistakes may be major. Some of those mistakes may be minor. Some of those mistakes may be ongoing and therefore no longer become mistakes. And not even mistakes. People make bad choices sometimes, and that's okay. It is okay to make a bad decision, a lack of judgment, whatever. If you learn and grow from your mistakes, then in my books, you are a good person. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I used to participate in cancel culture. I'm not gonna lie. I was in high school, or just out of high school. I was young. I was learning about political correctness and social justice and everything like that. But guess what? I've grown. And I've learned, and I think that Twitter needs to learn as well. And it is not just teenagers that are participating in cancel culture, it is adults who should know better. And that's the saddest part to me. Everybody should be allowed to grow and develop over time. Like I said, life is kind of like being a parent. Nobody is perfect at life. Nobody is going to be a saint. I've completely forgotten to do my eyebrows, so I'm going to do that now. See, mistakes are being made, and it's okay. The world is a complicated place, but getting in a fit over things that are non-issues is counterproductive and driving us backwards because we're overcorrecting for things that we've made mistakes for in the past. You don't throw away a friend for one mistake, and if you do, then you're a bad friend. I'm sorry to say. Now, there are some mistakes that are really big and deserve explanations, and maybe you should stop interacting with someone. For example, if your significant other cheats on you, not letting people make mistakes is almost as bad as making those same mistakes yourself, because not being able to let people be flawed when you yourself are flawed, because everybody is in my view, it's hypocritical and frankly gross. And say you were vegan, you accidentally ate something that from an animal product because maybe you weren't quite as diligent as maybe you should have been on a certain day. Maybe it was a down day, or you just weren't being attentive. If you realized your mistake and apologize for it, and everybody, all your vegan friends, stop being friends with you because of that one time that you messed up and apologized profusely and realized exactly what you did wrong, vowed to never buy that thing again, I would venture to say that those friends that canceled you or stopped being your friend for such a minor mistake are bad friends. Like cancel culture, Twitter particularly, has a toxic relationship with the entire world. If you can't let people have mistakes and grow from them, then that is toxic. And hashtag so and so is over parties and so is canceled for things that are either unproven or like aren't like indicative of any pattern or happened once or even are non-issues are counterproductive in my opinion. Cancel culture, Twitter, you are not God. You don't get to make the decisions on things or whatever deity or whatever. Maybe you worship Beyonce. You are not Beyonce. You maybe need to let people learn and grow. To quote Mac does it.
People might say offensive things out of pure confusion, but that's out of pure confusion. As long as they're listening, no one starts off fully woke. Everyone starts off ignorant about something, okay?
And it's true. Everybody has some sort of issue that they're working on. There is no such thing as unproblematic. Heck, if Gandhi was around today and Gandhi was on Twitter, Gandhi would have been canceled. Jesus would have been canceled. I don't know why I'm making all these Jesus analogies. If you are dredging up people's past just to cancel them, that is not cool. And frankly, you are bullying people for doing that. Cancel culture is modern day woke bullying that is counterproductive, unhelpful, and frankly, setting us backwards. Treat people the way that you would want to be treated. It's okay to call people out, but it is not okay to keep harping on them when they've clearly grown from something, you know? And it's not okay to be mean in calling someone out. And that's all I've really got to say about it. Okay. So, with all of that being said, that has been my video. I am not Meg. I hate cancel culture. I hate it a lot. And I hate that I used to participate in it. But hey, we all grow. We all make mistakes in the end. And with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff. I'm trying to get a little bit bigger. And that is all, folks. Stay safe and remember that you matter. Bye.